So good morning and welcome to our Thursday morning gathering brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. My name is Tara Healey. I'm the program director of Mind the Moment, or the mindfulness program. And for anybody that is joining for the first time, a warm welcome. These sessions are fully guided. We kick it off with John, who has a few announcements, and he's the operations manager of our program. We'll then move into about a 12-minute guided meditation, at which point at the end, feel free to jump off. We do stay on usually about 10 minutes or so at the end, just for questions, comments, sharing resources, sharing ideas. And John is the resource guy, so I am going to turn it over to him to do a little processing about our Tuesday session. And
I'm glad you brought that up, Tara, because
yeah.
I don't want to diminish anything you've done this week, but I'm wondering if the most interesting thing the most interesting thing I did this week was that Tuesday session. I wonder if it was the most interesting thing that you did. It's because it was a very wonderful opportunity to welcome our new friend, the neuroscientist, mindfulness researcher, all around swell guy, Dave Vago, to what was the inaugural edition of our Art and Science of Awareness interview series. So that was, again, this past Tuesday at noon. Now, if you happen to miss that conversation, no need to despair, because the recording is now up on our YouTube page and our podcast feed. And let me drop the links into the chat where you can.
Oh, yeah, good, John. I forgot to tell people to open the chat.
Well, I'm sure they know the business by now.
Yes, I think so.
Tara, can I ask what you may have found most interesting or inspiring or actionable or impactful about that interview with Dave? And if I may be so bold, if anyone here watching right now was present for our conversation with Dave Vago, please chime in the chat with anything you found interesting or inspiring, actionable.
Oh, John, I don't know if you see that keeps asking for a passcode. So let me respond to John's first, his comment about what was most inspiring for me this week. And I have to agree that it was the conversation with Dave. So John and I met Dave probably has to be at least 12 years ago, some 10 or 12 years ago. And he came and did a lecture for us. And at the time, I think he was doing, he had an appointment at Harvard Medical School, and maybe Dana-Farber. No, not Dana-Farber. Beth Israel. I'm not sure. Anyway, he was local. He was around. And I think that what encourages me the most is that this practice is so valuable in keeping our brains healthy and well. And you don't have to set aside lots of time. Like, I really appreciated Dave talking about just bringing the practice into day-to-day life. He's like, you have to, shower every day, bring your attention to that experience. Even out for a walk, notice when you're lost in thought, bringing yourself back, being able to experience the breeze, the sense, the sense experience of walking. And that, my feeling often is that both the formal practice of sitting informs the informal practice, informs, seeing our habit patterns more clearly, maybe not checking our phones as much. I just think that a lot of practical application, and that it does matter. We're keeping our brains healthy and well. And I love the glymphatic system. So how important sleep is for I think I use the analogy it's like a chimney sweep comes in and gets rid of all the debris that you've built up during the day. And practice can also help us with sleep. So John, I'd say.
Yeah, Dave had a really clever turn of phrase. We were talking about washing your hair every day. He was like, you wash your hair every day, you should meditate every day. It's like washing your brain. And he was careful to say, it's not like brainwashing. Like
Right,
washing your brain in a good way.
right.
Heather R says she was taken by the positive physical changes that meditation can have on our brains. Very exciting
Yeah,
indeed. So Tara, for myself, it's impossible for me to capture the nuances of the neuroscience very well. But
yeah,
if I could speak cartoonishly broadly about some of what Dave was talking about, one thing he mentioned that I thought was so interesting was how as we age, the different regions of the brain tend to become a little bit less tightly connected. They speak to each other a little bit less well. And that's just the
yeah,
case for every human brain. But
yes,
in the brains of older meditators, the research seems to be suggesting that the part of the brain that we might consider the control center, the connector, it remains skilled for longer at keeping the various regions of the brain bound together and working
mm,
well together. And I think about this in terms of a different and perhaps more social phenomenon that happens as we age, in which,
yeah,
let's say, that really tight group of friends that you may have had in high school or college just naturally tends to drift apart. And yet sometimes, for some of us, there's that one person who insists that the old group get together at least
yeah,
occasionally for like
yes,
that
yes,
fishing trip or that weekly trivia night or that
yeah,
once in a decade overseas adventure, so that you don't lose touch with these important pivotal lived experiences that are embodied in that group of people.
yeah,
And so it's like meditation keeps that guy in your brain, that connector, for as long as possible. I think that's really interesting.
yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, the whole thing was fascinating, and the entire series, which will be for anyone that is just joining and not aware, the last Tuesday of every month, we're going to have a researcher or a thought leader. And these are folks that have been studying the impact of mindfulness on the brain for, in some cases, decades. And so we're really, really excited about that.
Yeah, Teresa says one of her takeaways was how meditation reduces intentional biases. And that was interesting as well, because I feel like these sorts of, sometimes unconscious biases are what sort of separate us as a society. Just speaking for myself, I've been
Yeah.
thinking a lot lately about what sometimes people refer to as the loneliness epidemic, and how this might have something to do with the fact that a
Yeah.
lot of us, and I'm not exempting myself here, just walk around with our noses in our phones, unwilling to have contact with humans,
Yeah.
and when members of a society drift apart like that, it almost feels like what's being encouraged is the onset of societal dementia. And practicing mindfulness, I find, not only
Yeah.
gives us an excuse to gather together in a group, just like this one,
Right.
which is virtual, but which still emphasizes those principles of togetherness and connection.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, yeah.
Beyond that, though, Tara, the effects of practicing mindfulness may make us more prone to open ourselves up to opportunities to link up with other people in a more
Yeah.
lived and live and lively way.
Yeah, yeah. No, totally agree. And by the way, I just put the link in for those of you who are interested in the series, um, there's that link is there. And the first 3 Tuesdays of the month, we will always have a guest teacher. It'll be the same teacher. And in February, it's Mary Star Green doing chair yoga, and she's absolutely wonderful. So yeah.
Well, Tara, I may leave it there with you.
Okay.
Thank you for having me as always, and I hope the meditation goes really well this morning.
Yeah, John.
Thanks everyone. Good to see y'all.
Thanks. Good to see you. All right, everybody. I want to actually kick it off with a quote that I by Alan Watts, who was a kind of British American. He was born in England, but he was an author and a lecturer, and I love this piece by him. So as we get ready for practice, I thought this was apropos. He says, as muddy water is best cleared by leaving it alone, it could be argued that those who sit quietly and do nothing are making one of the best possible contributions to a world in turmoil. So with that, let's go ahead and begin our practice. So You want to just simply sit or stand or lie down, whatever feels like it's going to serve you best this morning. Just allow the body to surrender into the support of the ground below. Your eyes can be open or closed. If they're open, I would just gaze downward a little bit. And take a couple deep breaths on your own as a way to settle in and settle any surface tension from your activity this morning, making your exhalation a bit longer. And again, surrendering in, letting go of what has happened so far this morning, releasing anticipation of what's next. So allowing yourself to arrive fully here in this moment, nothing else to do and nowhere else to be, allowing this time for yourself. And noticing how the body is. So aware of physical sensations in the body. So that could simply be the points of contact and the subtle feel of that point of connection. It could be a pulsing or a vibration or a temperature. And bringing a receptive attitude. So it's always really helpful to check the attitude in the mind before practice. What am I bringing to my practice this morning? Is it, uh, it could be skepticism, it could be fear, unsettledness, it could be calm and joyful. Just what's the attitude in the mind? We don't have to try to shift it, just simple awareness of the attitude in the mind. And then feeling into the physical body connected with that particular mind state. And again, feeling the physical sensations. They might feel good or pleasant. They might feel not so good. You could be experiencing physical pain. Or maybe it's just more of a neutral, just, neither pleasant nor unpleasant this morning, just however the body is receiving the experience, watching the stories about it, and seeing if you can release those and just literally come into the physical experience of your body this morning. And let's take a moment to expand awareness to include sound that might be occurring in the room or outside of the room. And again, bringing that sort of receptive, not what's making the sound, but just hearing, bringing that receptive attitude to sound, aware of the rising, the passing of sound. And let's now find an anchor for the wandering mind. So, something that we'll return to each time a thought slips in and we notice it, not a problem. We're just simply going to not continue with that narrative. We're just going to release it, let the body soften a bit, and return attention to an anchor. So, an anchor could be any sensation in the body that is easy for you to connect with and anchor to. So that could be as you breathe, any wherever you feel the breath sensation most prominently. Maybe it's the rise and fall of your belly, or and could be around your chest, could even be more narrow, the nostrils. It could be a different body sensation. It could be the points of contact with the soles of the feet or along the back of the body. And alternatively, if body is challenging this morning, you could use sound. So take a moment to work with an anchor, select your anchor, and I'll ask you to stay with that one for the remainder of the practice. And noticing where the mind is. Bring full awareness to your body and allow a bit of softening. There's typically a physical contraction each time a thought slips in unnoticed and then becomes noticed. So just soften your body and return to that anchor. We're just doing this over and over again. And noticing where the mind is. And as we bring this practice to a close, may we be peaceful and at ease. May our heart be soft and open. May we be safe and protected, and our bodies healthy and strong. And may whatever good comes of our practice be of benefit to all beings. So, taking a moment, if the eyes were closed, to um, open the eyes and just take a minute to reconnect with your surroundings, reorient to the space that you're in, and so we have about 8 minutes or so for questions, comments, sharing resources. So if you come across a book or a podcast or an app or something that has been supportive to your sense of well-being and supportive to your practice, would love to hear. If anybody has any other thoughts about Dave Vago and the session, and again, not a problem if you weren't there. All of these will be recorded. Um, and so, you can check out that recording. Um, yeah, so anything that anybody would like to offer? Well, maybe we could call it here. It's 8:53 and, no need to stay on. Just sending good wishes to everybody for the rest of your day and also getting close to the weekend. So have a wonderful weekend. And just remember, with practice, just that you can do little moments throughout the day like that matters. And that we're not trying to feel any particular way. I think the misunderstanding in practice is that when we put ourselves in a meditative posture that we're supposed to just feel good, and the idea is to keep leaning into feeling good and not feeling anxious or feeling relaxed, and to really let go of all of those notions and just feel what you feel. So whatever that might be, you're turning toward it. So you're turning toward the sensations in the physical body of fear or anxiety, coming out of the stories about them and just feeling into the physical impact of what those stories are producing. And part of what we see in doing this practice over and over again is that these things are of the nature to change. And there is a lot of relief in that they're not fixed and permanent, that you will see that every thought, every emotion, every body sensation has a beginning, it does its thing, and it leaves. Now, the timing might not be on a schedule that we're happy with. Um, I recently had a fair amount of hip pain from a yoga session. And, I could start to see some of the spinning around what if this doesn't ever go away? And then just releasing that, seeing that thought arose, feeling the physical impact of that thought, and then just bringing attention to the physical sensations in the body that the hip pain was producing, which was kind of tightness and heat. That's really what it was. Um, so I just wanted to offer that you don't have to create or try to bring on anything. You're trying to see if you can be in the state you're in with greater balance and see the nature of it, which is to change. So anyway, I just thought I would offer that since I had very recently had some pretty significant hip pain. Um, yeah, good, Colleen. Yeah. And Janice. Yeah, you're welcome, everybody. Um, Great to be with you, and I'm super grateful for this community. Okay, bye.